be separate, to be free. These voices do not vanish with age. They become the inner monologue of the adult, dictating how you see your worth, your body, your voice, your capacity to love, to belong, to thrive. Unless these inner images are made conscious, the individual will unconsciously seek resolution outside, in romantic partners, in career success, in spiritual bypassing. But the root remains untouched. The wound continues to whisper, "You are still not enough." Jung taught that the mother wound is not just a personal tragedy. It is a collective inheritance. It is a psychic pattern passed through generations, encoded like emotional DNA. Mothers unknowingly transmit their own pain, their own repression, their own disconnection from the feminine principle. And the children, unless awakened, carry it forward. Until one day someone, perhaps you, has the courage to face the mother image within and say, "This story ends with me." To Jung, healing was not about changing the mother. It was about transforming your relationship to the inner mother. That complex web of associations, emotions, memories, and projections living deep within the psyche. And this work is not small. It is sacred. Because until you confront this inner image, the real transformation cannot begin. The mother is also earth. She is nature. She is the unconscious itself. When we are disconnected from the mother within, we are also the controlled. And in doing so, we lose the richness of the soul. The cost of remaining blind to the archetypal mother is profound. Chronic anxiety, unresolved grief, relational dysfunction, creative blocks, spiritual emptiness, a constant sense of not belonging to yourself. Jung saw this as a psychological epidemic, a generation adrift from its ancestral roots, from the feminine depths, from the great mother who births not only bodies, but souls. So here is the threshold. Can you see your mother not only as the woman who hurt you, but as the doorway into the ancient psychic forces that shaped her? Can you recognize the archetype moving through her and through you? Can you hold her flaws and your pain without collapsing into blame or idolization? This is not about absolution, it is about liberation. Because until you see the mother image clearly, not just as mother, but as mirror, you will continue to walk in circles. Healing will remain shallow. Insight will not penetrate the unconscious. But when you face the archetypal mother as she is, vast, mysterious, paradoxical, you no longer seek love from her shadow, you return to the root. You begin finally to become yourself. The second, the shadow mother, and the psychological imprisonment. In Jungian psychology, the shadow mother is one of the most feared and misunderstood inner forces. Unlike the nurturing aspect of the maternal archetype, she is not the mother who protects, nourishes, or guides. She is the one who consumes. She appears in dreams, myths, and the quiet despair of adulthood as the force that clings, suffocates, manipulates, and inhibits the growth of the soul. Jung observed that this devouring aspect is not an anomaly. It is an inescapable pole of the archetype itself. The Great Mother births and devours. She creates and she withholds. And when this aspect is not faced consciously, it becomes a psychic prison from which the ego cannot escape. The Shadow Mother shows up in mythology as Demeter refusing to release Persephone, as dragons guarding sacred treasure, as goddesses who swallow their offspring. Psychologically, she emerges when maternal energy overreaches its natural bounds, when love becomes control, when protection becomes possessiveness, when care disguises dependency. In these moments, the child feels not held, but consumed. And yet, because the energy is wrapped in maternal language, I just want what's best for you, the child cannot name the betrayal. The soul collapses inward, silently absorbing the belief. My freedom is abandonment. My autonomy is betrayal. As Jung wrote, this force rarely enters consciousness in obvious ways. Its grip is subtle, hidden beneath layers of conditioning and inherited guilt. In adult life, it may appear as crippling self-doubt, a persistent inner critic that echoes the mother's voice. It may show up as the inability to feel safe when independent, the reflexive fear of disappointing others, or the unconscious attraction to romantic partners who control, diminish, or suffocate, mirroring the emotional terrain of the mother wound. It is the guilt that arises the moment you try to set a boundary, speak your truth, or walk away from dysfunction. The Shadow Mother whispers, "You are ungrateful, you are bad, you are selfish." This is psychological infantilization, a state Jung warned against, where the ego remains small and dependent, physically adult, but emotionally tethered to the mother's expectations. You may move cities, change your name, live across oceans, and still hear her voice in your head. Before you speak, before you act, before you dare to live. This is not about physical distance. It is about energetic entanglement. The ego remains a child, orbiting the mother's gravity, terrified to step out of lies that hell, familiar predictable, falsely comforting. People stay in
Buster.
toxic dynamics
What you doing?
not because
What
they
you doing,
enjoy
Bus?
suffering,
Huh? What you
but
doing?
because suffering
What you doing?
preserves
What you
the
doing?
psychic
What you doing, bub?
bond. Pain
What you doing? What you doing, bub?
loyalty.
What you doing? What you doing?
Self-betrayal becomes love. And until this pattern is made conscious, individuals will continue recreating the same conditions